Hello everyone. We are soon going to start this webinar. Kagot sir, shall we start?
Just wait for 2-3 minutes. I will.
Okay. Okay, sir. I have a small request to all the participants. If you have any questions during this presentation, please type them in chat box with your name and the name of your institute and to whom you want to ask. And please keep mute yourself and close your video display. This will help to participate, focus on the presentation. Thank you.
Dr. Bora, please confirm the resource persons from the other countries have joined or not.
Sir, speakers are already joined. Tulsi Besbora sir is also joined.
Ranjan sir, good evening. Good evening, sir. Professor from Chennai.
Yes, yes. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes,
sir. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. You can start, I think.
Good evening. Yeah, sir, we should start. The time is 30. So, namaskar and very good morning and good afternoon and good evening to all the participants from different time zone of this globe. I am Dr. Rituparna Bora, Program Officer, Guwahati University NSS Unit. Welcome you all in this international webinar, Prevention and Control of COVID-19 with focus on Indian vaccination drive. The main aim behind the hosting of this series of webinar is to provide a platform to our NSS volunteers and students to get all the latest information and updates about this novel coronavirus. As we all know, the COVID-19 is a highly contagious disease and creating a threat to the global health. Every day it changes nature, its behavior, and this novel virus is going to coexist with us for a long time. So we need to regular update of our knowledge about this virus, and this webinar will definitely help our volunteers to get new information about this SARS-CoV-2 virus. So with this small briefing, I would like to request Dr. Ranjan Kumar Kakoti sir, Director of Student Welfare and NSS Coordinator, Guwahati University, to deliver the formal welcome speech. Sir.
Good evening to all of you. This is the international webinar on prevention and control of COVID-19 with focus on India's vaccination drive, organized by Guwahati University NSS Hill. In this platform, we are present here on behalf of Deputy Commissioner Sri Biswajit Pegu, Sri Anurag Rudra, ACS, Assistant Commissioner, Kamrup Metropolitan, respected Dean, Faculty of Technology, and Professor Tulsi Besborua. He also head and Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication, Guwahati University. Respected Speaker, Sri Simanta Das, Consultant Pathologist. Here, invited Speaker, Dr. Dipankar Manna, Research Scientist, University of Oslo, Norway. Special invitee, Mr. Vidyut Thakuria, Founder, Technofitime.com, Germany. Special invitee guest, Mr. John Kastovic, the founder, Technofic.com. Vaccination is a simple, safe, and effective way of protecting people against harmful diseases. When we get vaccinated, we are not just protecting ourselves, but also those around us will protect all. Due to this COVID-19 pandemic situation, vaccination continues to be critically important for each and every one. Vaccinations gives us immunity to fight against these deadly viruses. So around 20 viruses still exist in this. Then we are fighting against this from different vaccinations. Our respected resource person will definitely they'll be elaborating a lot, will be highly benefited by knowing all. So our main aim is to give a wide awareness among all the people to get vaccinations. Honorable Prime Minister of India has launched the Tikakaran Utsav. So every people should be vaccinated. There should not be any rumor that vaccination has side effect or all. Vaccination is the only way to get rid of from this COVID-19. So with the aim, the Guwahati University has organized this international webinar to give awareness to all the people around us. So I hope our participants will be benefited a lot from this, and let us join hands together to eradicate from this, to get rid of from this COVID-19 situation, so that we can get a healthy India, healthy lifestyle India tomorrow. So in this webinar, I welcome you all the guests, all the participants wholeheartedly. Once again, I welcome to all of you. Thank you all for participating here. Now, I request Sri Anurag Rudra, ICS, Assistant Commissioner of Kamrupattam Districts, to inaugurate this webinar.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kakoti. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
All right. May I begin?
Yes, please.
Dr. Kakoti and all the host of eminent academicians, researchers, and NSS volunteers who are present in this program. First of all, let me take this opportunity to convey my heartfelt congratulations to all of you and my best wishes. I'm attending this webinar on behalf of my Deputy Commissioner, who unfortunately had to be preoccupied on account of an urgent video conference, again regarding this COVID issues only. So I shall try to deliver this inaugural address as far as possible, doing justice to the topic. It is also personally very heartening for me because prior to joining the civil services, I was also an academician. I was a director in a university where primarily we're working upon STEM. So it's also very heartening for me personally to be part of a webinar where there are people from the academic community, from the research community coming together to dwell upon an important topic that is perhaps has become the boon or the bane of our present day world. I think, before inaugurating, I'll just like to mention one or two things here. First of all, since I am representing the Kamrup Metropolitan District, which also happens to be the hotspot of the COVID pandemic in entire Northeast, we can say without a grain of doubt, and where we actually witnessed a great, a great spread of the virus in the initial parts of what we're calling now the second wave, perhaps from the second or first week of April till about May. And where we were actually looking at positivity rates of almost touching double digits. There was a point of time when we were actually going into double digit figures in terms of positivity. Now we can say that, with an average testing of about 25,000 plus tests a day, and I'm talking of the last 3 days empirical data, we have clocked an average of about 25K vaccinations per day. And we are very encouraged by the fact that our positivity has gone down to near about 1%, a little bit above, a little bit low, above 1%. So that is, first of all, a very heartening sign. Now, whether that is because of the declining virulence of the virus or because of increased positivity or increased testing, that is left to all the eminent academicians here to deliberate upon and find out. But I think, coming from the civil services, we normally are not experts in terms of public health. But as Dr. Kakoti has very beautifully mentioned that, this COVID entire program, the COVID vaccination program, that is the best tool we have right now in combating the virus. Among the other methods available like medical interventions and all of that thing, in terms of, I would say, cost effectiveness, in terms of the number of people we can cover, and in preventing mortality, most importantly, I think all of us now can say we have empirical data that, COVID vaccination has turned out to be the most important tool in fighting this wave of this virus that continues to mutate, that continues to have new variants coming up every day and throwing new challenges to the scientific community. Now, there is one very interesting thing, like, we are now targeting about 300 million Indians. And as of now, we have all seen the data as how India vaccinated close to the population of, New Zealand in one single day. Now, this entire COVID vaccination program has, in my opinion, given us two sides. First of all, it has shown us the resilience of India's public health setup. There were perceptions that maybe India's public health setup is not adequate, and by no means is it adequate. But in such times, we have witnessed how people from different walks of life, be it our NSS volunteers, be it the ASHA workers, be it volunteers from other organizations, be it religious organizations, and most importantly, the academic community. We have shown the resilience of the academic community and the community from the STEM, especially from the STEM departments, and how we have come together to fight this entire COVID pandemic. Now, if we just take a minute, I would like just to point out two major things in this regard right now. The COVID vaccination right now that we're carrying out across the world, and especially I'll speak of Assam and Guwahati, has shown us rich dividends. I mean, initially there may have been a bit of hesitation, but I think we can confidently now say that there is a great enthusiasm and hope among the people that this vaccination program, and as advertised by our Honorable Chief Minister, we have seen how it has provided a glimpse of hope to all of us, and it will give us the best fighting chance in fighting with the further waves. When we got the new strains of COVID, we were initially worried, but when scientific research showed that yes, these vaccines are actually capable of tackling most of the new strains, and we're looking forward to more encouraging news from the scientific community. So this webinar, I think, is a very welcome step. I must thank all the organizers from Guwahati University, Professor Kakoti and his esteemed colleagues, all the eminent researchers who are joining from India as well as abroad. Your deliberations, your inputs, and your scientific credentials together will surely give us a very strong chance in fighting the pandemic. I'm very hopeful that the NSS volunteers who are joining us will provide us with ground level support, much needed ground level support and strength to fight this pandemic. On behalf of my DC, I'll not take much more time. I extend my warmest regards and my warmest thanks to all present in the meeting. I look forward that with increased vaccination, the next episode of this webinar can perhaps take place in the offline mode, and I look forward to joining it in Guwahati University if Professor Kakoti invites me. So I hope that this webinar will turn out to be a major success. I give my best wishes and declare it open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sri Honorable Rudra, for a valuable speech, inaugural speech. And we have highlighted many important points for our dignitaries, guests, and volunteers. Thank you so much for your cooperation and for the good deliberations. And looking forward your cooperation from district administrations so that NSS volunteer may play a big role for eradicating or eliminating this COVID-19 from the society. Hope for the best. Thank you so much for your participations. Now I request Professor Tulsi Besberua. He's a Dean, Faculty of Technology at Guwahati University and also Professor of Electronics. Now may I request Professor Tulsi Besberua to highlight some few points for today's webinar as a guest of honor. Please. Your mic is, I think, mute. Kindly unmute your mic. Now it is yes.
Good evening to everybody. Director. Good evening to everybody. Director of Student Welfare, Guwahati University, Dr. Ranjan Kumar Kakoti. Program Coordinator, Dipurna Bora. Distinguished guests and my dear participants, NSS friends from the different part of the states. This is a very important webinar, namely international webinar on prevention and control of COVID-19 with the focuses in India's vaccination drive. This is a very timely program organized by the Guwahati University NSS Unit. I congratulate the Guwahati University NSS Unit. Particularly, I congratulate Dr. Ranjan Kumar Kakoti, Director of the Student Welfare, Guwahati University, for organizing this important webinar. Everybody knows, as the Director has already mentioned, and Dr. Rudra has also mentioned, that this world is now running with a very bad phase of healthcare system, and at this moment to protect the COVID-19, it is the only way to vaccinate all the people of the world. And in this context, if we consider that 120 crore of India's population to vaccinate, it is essential that it should be very well organized process for vaccination, and everybody should help in this process. And as I have come to know from the Director of Student Welfare, Dr. Ranjan Kumar Kakoti, that all NSS volunteers of the Guwahati University Unit, as well as different colleges of the states, have taken initiatives in the vaccination process to help the medical team. And this is very good initiative for all of us. And I think during this webinar, this resource person will deliver very important things for the participants, which will be very much beneficial not only for the participants, but it will be beneficial for the society as a whole also. So I will not take more time because resource persons are waiting for delivering their deliberation. And I again congratulate Dr. Ranjan Kumar Kakoti, Director of Student Welfare, for organizing this webinar, international webinar. And I am sure that this webinar will be a very successful one, and it will give some interaction between the participants and the resource person, which will promote uh, to protect the COVID-19 pandemics from the world. With these few words, I thank you again to all, and I welcome all to this webinar also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, for your inspiring speech and your kind presence to inspire our volunteers and volunteers by your valuable speech. Now, I request Dr. Itukonapara to start the technical session.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your views on COVID-19. So now I would like to request today's speaker, Dr. Simanto Das, to deliver his talk on prevention and control of COVID-19. Dr. Das completed his MBBS and MD from Assam Medical College, Dibrugarh. He is working as a consultant pathologist from last 10 years. So I request Dr. Das to deliver his talk.
Everybody, respected dignitaries, and very thankful and grateful to Dr. Ritupurna Bora for giving me this opportunity to say some points regarding this ongoing pandemic. And I take this opportunity to thank the Guwahati University NSS for giving me the opportunity to talk something about this pandemic. So, as everybody is aware of this pandemic, there is bombardment of information and bombardment of hype. But that awareness, I think, bit little not up to the mark. What I believe. So briefly talking about the disease as a whole, the whole disease, COVID-19. So COVID-19 is a disease which is caused by virus. So means disease among the disease causing things there are pathogens. Pathogens are one of the few main causes of disease, disease causing things. This pathogen can be of different type: viruses, fungus, algae, bacteria, protozoas, like that. And this COVID-19 is particularly caused by the viruses. So viruses in human history of diseases, there are plenty of viruses that human civilization has already encountered. There were smallpox, then there is still going on polio, rabies, and many more. So COVID-19, this disease-causing virus is particularly of the group. There is a group called disease-causing called COVID-19 group called coronaviruses. These coronaviruses are 4 types mainly. They are by these microbiologists and virologists that categorize it in 4 categories: alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. The alpha and beta viruses mainly causes disease in mammals, and the gamma and delta causes mainly disease in, particularly in birds, avian birds. These are actually avian birds, delta and gamma. Alpha and beta, these two coronaviruses mainly causes disease in mammals. Mammals including humans. So there is a term called zoonosis. Zoonosis means the diseases which spread from animals to humans. The diseases which are significant, which is spread from animals to humans. So there are a lot of theories and researches going on how this COVID-19 spread to human. But the most accepted theory is that it spread from some bats. Particularly, it originated in China's Wuhan province. So ultimately, we can say this is also a zoonosis, which spread from an animal to humans. So the roots of transmission, how it spreads. So the most confirmed theory is that most confirmed route of transmission is it's spread from aerosol, your respiratory tracts. Any infected person who can sneeze or who sneezes or coughs out, it can potentially be a carrier, means spreader of the disease, and anybody that come into contact with that already diseased person may get that disease, particularly the viruses, and it may lead to the disease. So the route of transmission of the disease is mainly the aerosol or respiratory tract. And after acquiring the disease, when the patient develops symptoms, this period is called incubation period. And for different diseases, bacterial disease or viral disease or fungal disease, this incubation period is different. It ranges from 1 day to few months, even few months, and in some cases may lead to years. Means from the entry of the pathogen to outcome, signs and symptom and disease, showing of the disease, this period is called incubation period. And this particular incubation period in COVID-19 is 2 to 3 days. Means when the person acquired the virus, after 2 to 3 days, the patient starts showing signs and symptoms. So what can be the signs and symptoms? Particularly this COVID-19, this coronavirus, COVID-19 virus causing, the signs and symptoms, most of the cases, in 80 to 85% cases, it will be very mild. Very mild, the signs and symptoms may be dry cough, fever, then generalized weakness. These are very mild symptoms, and sometimes you miss these symptoms. These symptoms, it's like any other influenza or any other diseases. It's very negligible, means very insignificant. Sometimes even patient is not aware that he is suffering from COVID-19. So this is a potential threat. Means during this time, during this period, then when the patient is not the carrier, person is not aware that he is suffering, he may be a potential carrier. Healthcare personnel suggests. So treatment part in 80 to 85%, the patient don't need much more, don't require some medicine, means he finally recovers automatically, or he needs some supplements, vitamin supplements or some other natural supplements. Remaining, those who develop severe diseases, mainly the ICU care experts, the anesthesists, the medicine experts, they have a particular protocol how to treat the patient. Like there are many medicines, research is still going on. There are antiviral therapy like remdesivir. If the patient is having some respiratory distress, there may be ventilators. They use ventilators, and in some cases they uses these corticosteroids just to suppress the inflammation so that patient can survive and can take other medicine and other therapies. So I won't go to the treatment part much more because I do, being a non-clinical doctor, I'm not much into the treatment part. So basically, what we should promote is the prevention of the disease. This is probably, it is called that prevention is the best cure. Means if you prevent the disease, it is the best cure. And as I already said, for viral disease, the best cure is the prevention because there is no cure in some cases. If it recovers automatically, it's well and good. Otherwise, the only treatment we have is the prevention. So how should we prevent? How can we prevent? prevention, as already most of the persons all around the globe are aware that wearing of mask. Wearing of mask very important. Wearing of mask and properly wearing of mask. What we have seen, many people just don't follow COVID protocol and they just wear the mask, and in public places they don't wear properly. Just it's a mask below the nose. This is not the proper way to wear a mask. Everybody means, as the pandemic is going on, everybody should have the habit of wearing the mask in almost means in every places, particularly in crowded and in public places. So wearing of the mask most probably is a single most preventive measure that we should strictly follow. Then secondly, hand hygiene. Hand hygiene, it basically, as we are aware, after closing the nose and mouth by mask, the next mode that we can acquire the disease is by spreading hand hygiene. Means somebody sneezes at a particular place, somebody cough at a particular place, and we place our hand. And after coming back to home and removing our mask, if we put that infected hand on our mouth or our nose or our on our eyes, so finally we can get this virus again. So after mask, the second most important is the hand hygiene. Repeatedly washing your hand every time you go outside, every time you touch anything which already touched by others, already used by others, we should keep on washing our hands with soap and alcohol-based sanitizers. And the third most important point is the social distancing. As we are already aware of it, we already know social distancing means at least 6 foot distance. 6 foot distance from any potential or any other stranger. If it is not a close family member, we should maintain a distance of at least 6 foot, means social distancing. So social distancing, how can we get? Particularly avoiding crowded places, avoiding public places. When it is absolutely necessary to go outside for some grocery shopping or any other shopping, and for medicine to get some medicine, then wearing the mask, hand hygiene, and at least maintaining a distance of 6 feet from any other person. These are the most significant preventive measures that we can follow. And then again, as I already said, not touching your eyes, not touching nose, not touching your mouth. These are the preventive measures again. So even after that prevention, we should try to follow a rule of well ventilation. Well ventilation means even if your room is, even you are at your room, it should be well ventilated. It means if there is not absolutely necessary, you should have the habit of keeping open all the doors and windows at least, and it should be well ventilated room. Well ventilation means it helps in just flushing out the disease if suddenly you acquired, or if that area already used by someone else. So well ventilation. Then one of the most important causes recently, what we have seen that in AC environment, air conditioning environment, it is harmful in 2 ways. First, the dry and cool air of AC, and second, the entrapped area of AC. So avoiding AC environment in any public place, any office, or even in your home, avoiding AC, it can turn around. Means avoiding AC environment, it will be one of the most significant measures to counter the COVID-19 disease, because AC environment leads to cooling, and cooling again leads to proliferation of the viruses. So avoiding AC. Coming to next, but so these are the prevention. Finally, if the person, even after all these measures, somehow if he acquires the disease, as I already said, in mild cases, the patient can just hope for the best and recover. The recovery happens on self. But still, the patient should be aware that how he is behaving, means if there is any deterioration of his health, and if possible, he should get an oximeter, pulse oximeter. Pulse oximeter, a very handy device. It can be used on your fingers to check the oxygen saturation of the body. Means the oxygenation of your lungs. If it is above 90%, that particular device, pulse oximeter, will show your oxygen saturation at your lungs. And pulse oximeter, if it is above 95, there is no need to worry. No need to worry means if the patient is having mild symptoms or no symptoms, there is no need to worry if the saturation is above 90. So as I already said, if the patient already develops some disease and symptoms, pulse oximeter will give a hint when he should seek or he will need medical intervention. So anytime when it goes below 95% oxygen saturation, the person immediately should seek medical help. So this is briefly about the disease. And recently what happened, there are a lot of variation, means variants of, probably everybody is means getting the news in print media, in social media, in electronic media. There is variants of these coronaviruses, COVID-19 viruses. In last year, there was an alpha variant in UK. From different researches, it shows that it is highly transmissible. Alpha variant of the COVID-19 viruses. Then what happened in this year, in 2021, March, April, May, what we have seen, the second wave in India, it is regarded as due to the Delta variant of the viruses. Variants mean what? During the course of infection, course of time, viruses goes modification. Modification means it modifies itself to avoid medicine, and in terms of medicine or immunity of the host. Means we have some immunity. Our immunity try to reject the pathogen or the virus that we acquire or that entered in our body. So immunity, and after medication, particular medicines act on particular receptors of the virus and it try to destroy it. So variation of the virus, it's a natural tendency of all the pathogen to modify itself so that it can't get killed, or it can survive on the host more time. So as I already said, that alpha variant last year, it was shown in UK that it is highly transmissible. Then in this second wave of India that happens in March, April, May, it is believed that it is due to the Delta variant in our India. And recently what happens, there is one more variation, the Delta variation again shows some changes and some modification, which is labeled as Delta plus variant. So we should be aware, and I think my next speaker, our eminent speaker, will talk about the variation as well as the vaccination, how should we prevent. So I won't take any much time. So briefly about the disease, how it spreads, and what may be the signs and symptoms, how we should diagnose, and the preventive measures that I wanted to say. And thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Das. It was really an excellent and informative presentation. Hope our participants get enough knowledge and became aware about this prevention measures for COVID-19. The participants, if you have any questions for Dr. Das, please type in the chat box with your name. Now, I would like to request today's keynote speaker, Dr. Dipankar Mana, to deliver his talk on topic COVID-19 vaccine, a modern medical miracle. Dr. Mana did his master in biotechnology. He completed his PhD on protein biochemistry and structural biology from Department of Chemistry, University of Oslo. He did his postdoctoral research in Department of Molecular Medicine, University of Oslo. Recently, he working as a research scientist in the same university. He published many research publications in reputed international journals. Dr. Mana, now you can start.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so let me share my screen. Painter screen. Oh, something is happening. You can remote participant. Okay. Can you see my slide? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
It's
just-
not,
Just a second. I'm getting some bug here. Just a second. Something is problematic. Just a second. I have to restart. A window. Is it fine now? Now can you see my full screen?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, thank you. So, thank you very much, first of all, to invite me to this kind of seminar on this particular pandemic, which is really a need of an hour, I would say. And thank you, my friend Rituparna, for giving me a very kind introduction. And I'm really pleased that, like my former speaker, Dr. Simanto Das, he actually mentioned a lot of things about the medical purpose, because he probably might be looking at the patients on a regular basis. And he clearly mentioned about the pathogenic infection and their roles, and how could we control that, and what kind of like the medicines are available, and and what are the research he actually touched upon. And now I think my talk will be very much like as a complement, just a follow-up of whatever Dr. Das has mentioned. So I'll be talking about this vaccine. Many of you already know about the vaccines. I think we have almost a very clear idea about like how vaccines, like what kind of vaccines are available. So I'll just try to touch upon, and I have given the title of my talk, COVID vaccine, a modern miracle, a modern medical miracle, like why I would just come to that point. Okay, so first, we are talking about this particular virus called coronavirus. Actually, this coronavirus is not a new one. The first coronavirus infection has been detected in early 1920s in bird. And then the human infection was detected in the year of 1960s, actually. And then actually from then there are actually number of these coronaviruses that actually infect human. So from the beginning, actually, we are very familiar to look at this kind of very beautiful or attractive pictures. Those are the graphic pictures, so that could be understandable for the common people. And also at the same time, we saw some other kind of pictures like a cartoon, so that it would be like to give a message to the people that, okay, this is not a deadly one, we can beat them. So there are so many cartoons. While this is the real picture that is published in the middle of January from NIH, that is the first structure, the microscopic structure of this particular coronavirus. And based on this particular structure, like all other this attractive or like good looking, easy understandable virus structures had been drawn. So as I mentioned, like this coronavirus, now the pandemic, what is happening, named as SARS-CoV-2, like severe respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. This is the 7th virus that actually infects human beings. Before that, there are actually all the 6 viruses, but this first 4, I'm not going into the detail on that. First 4, they can infect human, but they hardly have any illness on us. While in around 2002, we heard about the infection SARS-CoV, also known as SARS-CoV-1, and in 2012, we actually experienced the infection of MERS-CoV-2. And here now we are in 2019, we heard about this SARS-CoV-2. And as Dr. Das already mentioned about this kind of this medical treatment options, transmissibility, I'm not going into that. I'll just jump into that scientific part actually. What is exactly happening in the development of vaccines or other antiviral drugs, or even like the monoclonal antibodies, or even the repurposed drug, those are already present in use for other diseases, whether that can be used for this particular infection. So actually the scientific fight started in early January 2020, on 10th of January, when the whole viral genome of this particular SARS-CoV-2 was published by a Chinese group. Actually, this is the real, like a very remarkable part, because nowadays the technology is at that level that you don't have to do anything actually. If you have the access to a particular database, you can plan your experiment. And then they actually reported that this particular gene has a similarity with like a bad SARS-CoV of 88%, whereas the SARS-CoV or the one with 79% and MERS with 50%. And this kind of information is really, really important to develop a vaccine or antiviral drug or any other kind of therapy. Because nowadays, if you know about the gene, we can actually predict their function as well. Now coming to the vaccine development strategies, actually vaccines are made in two strategic ways. One is the conventional approach, where like also called as the traditional approach, and another one is the novel approach. But this time I'm talking only on this particular SARS-CoV-2, but these approaches are applicable for all the vaccines that can be made against whatever the pathogenic organism. So in the conventional approach, we usually can do like the whole virus. We can take advantage of this virus. Either we can inactivate the virus or attenuate the virus. Means like killing its like the lethal property or like the pathogenic property. Or we can take the virus-like particle, or even just take the protein, and then that we can be actually formulate in terms like as a vaccine. And also on the other hand, this novel approach, which is really very remarkable, and that is the why I have given the name of my talk as like the magic medical miracle. Here we can have two different kind of vaccines like this DNA vaccines, either taking a DNA, and in this case SARS-CoV-2, the main target, like the majority of the vaccine target is the spike protein that actually help attachment to our cells so that it can get into and then infect our cells. So that can be either DNA vaccine or an mRNA vaccine, or like that can also be introduced in a particular vector which is non-infectious to us, and that can go and do their role. And this is, okay, this looks a little bit complicated, just to make it simplify. First, the genome sequence come out, and then just at the end of February 2020, the first structure of that particular spike protein come. Because like for the drug discovery or the vaccine design or the development, a structure is very, very important. And actually, I am basically expertise with this particular part to look at the protein about the structure basis so that get some information that can be used for the drug discovery or a vaccine development. So this is the first structure came, we give lots of information, and followed by another one, protease. Just in the middle of March, another one came, and that actually become very, very special for all the vaccine developers in the world. And that really helped a lot. And this is one of the main reasons that we got this particular SARS-CoV-2 vaccine so early. And I will also discuss that in later on my talk. Now, this vaccine development time, usually a vaccine development takes years. Like here, I have just given a couple of names like chicken pox or smallpox. It took 34 years to develop, like from the laboratory to the human application. Well, influenza, it took around 28 years, but still we are struggling to get the best one out of it. And human papillomavirus, 15 years, measles, 9 years, and polio 7 years, while the mumps is the shortest. As of now, before the SARS-CoV-2 virus came, it was developed in 4 years. While the SARS-CoV-2 initial plan was to get the vaccine within 1.5 years, means 18 months. But we are so lucky, and because of the technology and the tremendous scientific collaboration among groups, among countries, that make it possible so that we actually got this vaccine just in 11 months, and that is remarkable. And that is following the new technology, that is the novel technology. And here there are several types of vaccines can be developed, but this is not only for this particular SARS-CoV-2, like any other infection, for any other vaccine. These are the common, and the highlighted one that I'll be talking about only this particular 4 type of vaccine, which is now like the talking point during this pandemic. First, I'll come to the inactivated vaccine, how that can be grown. Like one example is our Indian vaccine that is called Covaxin by Bharat Biotech. So here what happened, as I mentioned earlier, like most of the vaccines, they are targeting the spike protein, which is required for the attachment. So they actually inactivated by some chemical so that the gene part will be inactivated. When it will be going in, they cannot actually infect or multiply, but still our immunity, our immunocells, they can detect them and make the antibody. And when that could be done, then actually our body has been injected with this vaccine, and our immune system will actually respond to that and then develops a lot of like these antibodies so that they can fight. And as also, I'll also agree with Dr. Das that he mentioned that this vaccine is a prevention. It's not a cure, it's a prevention, because if one person is infected, the vaccine cannot do anything because it has to be protected, and it is the drug or the medicine that actually cure the disease. And then the protein subunit vaccine, similarly, in case of here, actually, again, the spike protein, they are taking the gene and then cloning into some other organism, let's say bacteria or insect cells or mammalian cells, to grow them like in a different way, and then in a large scale, and then they formulate it and put that protein vaccine, that spike protein, to get into our body, and so that in response to that, our immune system again grow the antibody and they will fight against them. And one of the companies just recently, they got a very nice third phase trial, and they are under approval, Novavax. And then now this is really the main important point for this SARS-CoV-2, the mRNA and the DNA vaccine. Here what happened, again this spike protein, they are just taking the mRNA here, like the mRNA, and then they are actually formulating inside a lipid coating, and then it can go into our body by injection. Now the question might come, why we need this kind of coating? This is very simple. For example, if you are ordering something, let's say ordering a mobile phone from Amazon or Flipkart, usually they came with a well-packed. Why? Because from the warehouse to the customer, it should be reached a very protected way. And the same way, mRNA is very, very sensitive, because if we inject it, it will immediately destroy everything. Like all the mRNA will be destroyed by our immunocells. So that could be well protected so that reach to the immunocells in a particular way. So, and that is called the vaccine formulation, and then will be injected, and then we will develop some antibody that can fight against this particular virus. And as of now, Moderna and Pfizer, they are the two vaccines they are actually developed with this particular technology, mRNA technology. And then the DNA, like similarly, same, but instead of spike protein, like mRNA here, they are just taking a DNA part, which is responsible for this spike protein expression. And then that has been introduced in a particular vector, and then the people will be getting injected, and this will develop antibodies in our body that could fight our future infection. And the major companies are working with this DNA technology is AstraZeneca and Oxford, Janssen, a part of Johnson & Johnson, and the Sputnik V as well. Now, just to have a timeline, as I mentioned briefly, like in general, it takes 10 to 15 years to 20 years to develop a particular vaccine at an average, if we consider all the vaccines. And there are important stages, like the first step, that the exploratory, means the laboratory scale, we have to check whether the things are working well or not. If we get the success in the laboratory, then it will go to preclinical, means like animal trial, mouse, rabbit, or maybe some other animals. We have to test that, like whether it is working or not. If it goes successful, then we have to apply for a clinical trial on human. Okay, 1, 2, 3, which I'm coming next. And then if it is successful in the clinical trial, then we have to send it for the approval so that we can market it and then use it to the people. And then when the approval gone, like the done, then the company will manufacture it in a big way. But on the world, they took a huge, like a huge gamble. They actually make the trial like at the same time, and they have manufactured a lot. But if it doesn't work, it would have been a huge loss for the company. They actually got a lot of fundings, like the private fundings, government funding, and which is really good. Finally, good that it worked. And then just to mention about like this, how this clinical trial occurs, because this clinical trial is really, really, really important before we inject like into the human to actually as a prevention of this particular virus or even any virus. And like there are around more than 90% of the drug or vaccine, they actually fail from animal model to the human clinical trial. Like in the phase 1, as we many of us already know about this terminology, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the phase 1 trial, just or a few hundreds of participants just to check that whether the vaccine is safe or not. Like whenever we're injecting, they are developing some kind of a weird side effects or like malfunctioning or not. If it is good, then we will go for the next 2, like phase 2. Here actually a couple of hundred people we are recruiting to test the same vaccine, but not with the same people sometimes, but mostly the other population. Here actually we do safety and the dosing, like those that can be effective. And then we'll go for the third phase, which is larger, like the couple of thousands. Like as we know, like all this available vaccine, they go like 30 to 50,000 people they included actually in this trial to find out as well. And when it goes well, then the drug will be getting approval. But that is not the end of the process. Still, like the phase 4, like the post-approval, the random study will be also going on. Like if some of the side effects come, immediately that vaccine could be stopped anytime. But as of now, with COVID, we have actually a very good news that the thing with this Sputnik V vaccine, that these 2 doses are actually separate. But while all other vaccines, those are the 2 doses, they are the same vaccine, they just given twice. First dose and the second dose, same vaccine. While the Sputnik V, actually, the 2 doses are different. First dose and the second dose are different. And also to mention like the other vaccines, Pfizer and BioNTech, the mRNA vaccine, it has efficacy of 95% and it is effective to some extent for South African and the Brazil variant, while the Moderna, another one mRNA vaccine, 94% with some effectivity against the UK and South African variant. And like recently, Johnson & Johnson vaccine, 84% efficacy and can have effect on South African and the Brazil variant as well. And this is the protein subunit vaccine, Novavax. It has the highest, like 96% effectivity and can fight against South Africa. And so till yesterday, total vaccination in the worldwide is around 2.8 billion dose has been done in the world. India has around 300 million, means like around 31 crore. But the good, many more to come. So we have to keep our hope on, like the several other vaccines are coming in the market. And now I'll be coming to the Indian vaccination drive, because this is one of the biggest vaccine drive in the world. till today, these are the three vaccines that are available in India: Covishield, Sputnik V, and if we have the data from the Indian government, like how much the vaccination we have done, the red line actually, initially it was slow for the preparation, but now like we are really like going peak, and especially last few days, we are really doing extremely well. Like we had done around 9 million a day, so around 90 lakhs. While this YOLO is the first dose and the second dose, which is really, really very good, I would say. And now comparing to this Covishield and the Covaxin, we have given more on the Covishield vaccine than the Covaxin, while the Sputnik V's number is low because it just started. And this is the male-female, like the male actually got a little bit higher number than the female because there are reason, like most of our frontline workers, they are males actually in number more, so this number goes a little bit up. And now this is very interesting part actually. This is very, very good slide, I would say. These are the three vaccines, and Indian government, like actually they have the total capacity of this Covishield 840 million, while our government already has ordered 750 million dosage. While Covaxin 700 million, their capacity already ordered 550, and the Sputnik V, they have a capacity of 140 million, but our government has ordered more. So now you can feel that, okay, we are really going well in this part to get more vaccination. But of course, vaccination is time-taking process, and India, we have 1.4 billion people, and obviously it will take more time, and the availability of the vaccine is also not to be ignored. Why? This is very interesting paper actually, because the global, they are having very, very interested on this particular variant, which is called as the Delta variant and the Delta Plus, which earlier it was called as the Indian variant because it was first isolated in India. One recent small studies in UK, they have published like on 17th of June that the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine, they have a good capability fighting against this particular Delta and the Delta Plus variant. And in India, actually, we have mostly using this AstraZeneca vaccine, which is really good.
Sir, your mic is mute.
Dipankar, please unmute your.
I'm sorry, maybe by some reason. Anyway, can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
But there is some problem, but I cannot make the full screen. Can you see the full screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, it's not. Full screen is not coming, but it's visible.
Okay. I don't know why it's, but I need to get it in the full screen. Just a second. Oh, I'm sorry for the problem. Just a second.
Sir, a button is there in the bottom right, lower right. So you just have to click it. It will be in full screen.
I think it's done, right? Yeah. So now I just reshared. Okay. So these are the status of the vaccines we have, and like as I was talking about, this particular vaccine AstraZeneca is really having a good effect. But even though the study is really very small, but obviously some more study are expected to come in future, in few days, probably maybe in few weeks. And also Pfizer vaccine, we are also in a process, and hopefully in a couple of weeks that will also start rolling out in India. So yeah, that's a very good news actually. And also like other Indian vaccines on the race, like these, because there are several other Indian vaccines are on the developmental stage, while these four I found, I just put it here because they are very close. Like this is Zycov-D from the Zydus, it's a DNA vaccine similar as AstraZeneca and Sputnik V. They are in the phase 3 trial. Hopefully they will be soon applying for the approval after checking the data. And also another one from Biological E. It's a protein subunit vaccine similar as Novavax. It's also under phase 3 trial. And another one, RNA vaccine like Moderna and Pfizer, it's from a company Genova, which is in the phase 1 trial, and Bharat Biotech, they are having another one vaccine, which is a DNA vaccine. They are also under the phase 1 trial. And this is not the end. There are several other vaccines are on the list, which we are hopefully to get in future. So the take-home messages are: get vaccinated whenever you get the opportunity, and don't think about which one to get, because majority of the vaccines, they are almost very similar, like the differences are not that big actually. So get vaccine whatever is available, whatever is offered to you. And also, this is very important, use mask regularly, and please use the mask as it should be, like use it very properly, not like to show that you have mask. No, that is not the thing. You have to wear the mask, not you have to carry the mask. Then keep social distancing, because that really helped a lot. And like maintaining a good distance, like first thing, you are safe and you can help other, you can contribute to the society as well. And maintain hygiene as much as possible, like washing your hand, like taking care of all other hygiene parts, like even though if your sanitized alcohol-based sanitizer is not available, just simple use whatever the soap is available at your home. That can equally kill the virus and very effectively. So just use that. And this is most important. Don't believe in Facebook and WhatsApp University, because nowadays there are a lot of misinformation, and that actually make this COVID fight very, very like much more complicated, I would say. So be careful. Nowadays, like most of us have the smartphone. Actually, whenever you are getting some information, just check that in Google. That every information you will find it from Google. Even though like there are a lot more like talks on the vaccines, the vaccine is bad or this, blah, blah, blah. Just you go and check there. Check in the Google. Check for most of the like the science article, or like some news portal, they actually talk about science, because there you will get more reliable information. And this media actually mostly, they actually like overemphasize the thing, because just as their marketing policy. So don't believe on that. Rather, whenever if you're watching the news, listen to those people in the panels, like the scientists, doctors, listen to their views.
During COVID started as well our Tech COVID time, and there we invite each and every one of you to write and share your ideas and knowledge on the topic. Of course, among other things, we are covering there pharma and biotechnology.
And comply with quarantine regulations. So just to give you the numbers, as per the Robert Koch Institute in Germany, the current total active cases is 27,000. Daily reported is around 1,000 or below, whereas a couple of months before, the daily cases reached about 30,000. So yeah, and on vaccination side, it has started last year, December 2020. At the beginning, the process though slow, but it has picked up the speed now with the availability of different vaccines such as Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Johnson, as Dr. Dipankar already mentioned about such vaccinations. However, I learned recently that a virologist from Europe has given a warning about a fourth wave. Towards the end of autumn, it might devastate Europe. Why I'm mentioning this? No matter which...
The maternal antibody possesses, it goes from the mother to the children itself, the baby itself. So it is highly advisable to breastfeed the baby any condition of the mother or any condition of the baby. Even it is recommended, breastfeeding is recommended, except in very rare scenes like conditions like if the mother is taking chemotherapeutic drugs, only that in that particular special condition. Other than that, there is no any restriction of breastfeeding the infant. So breastfeeding should continue uninterrupted.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope this will be beneficial. This information will be very beneficial to all our participants. So, sir, my second question to you is, So since mutation in coronavirus variants are taking place, so is there any chance of modification of vaccines in the future?
See, variation what happened, variation and mutation, it is a natural process, actually natural process of particularly a microorganism. It is a natural process and to survive in the environment of the host. And by biological law, what happens in a long run, the modification and variation leads to a less lethal organism because they have to survive. If the lethality increases in variation and modification, ultimately what happens? Kill the host. Killing the host will ultimately lead to destruction of the parasite itself, pathogen itself. So in long run, that won't survive. So what happens in viruses or bacteria or microbes? There are a lot more variation continuously happening in different directions. Suppose in coronavirus, COVID-19, there are many variations, many replication, many variations. Finally, what happened? There is in medical term, these terms are called variation of concern and variation of interest. So finally, what happens? Out of these different variation, finally one variety ultimately serves the long run. It continues. So most of the times in virus and pathogens, this lethality decreases with time, which ultimately becomes the most predominant, so that they can survive in the environment, they can survive in long run. But immediately what happens, the main problem is we have a staggering population. Human population is around 8 billion. In 1960, it was only 4 billion. See, just in a span of 60 years, we have population. So what happened? During this variation, there are some variations which are lethal to the host, lethal to the human. So there will be some fatalities. There will be some fatalities, and there is severe diseases. There's severe disease. Because of this staggering population, the absolute number of severe diseases having fatalities, the absolute number will be more. That we have to bear it. Otherwise, there is no way.
And a very good evening to Dr. Dipankar Manna, sir. So my first question to you is about the ongoing debate. So as we all know, there is a proposal that the government has put about waiving the intellectual property rights. So what do you think, if in fact this policy is implemented, how it is going to change the whole trend setting of COVID vaccination drive over the whole world, and also special reference to India, how it is going to benefit or have an impact on the drive that we are having in India currently?
Okay, that's a very important question actually. This IP debate is going for several weeks by now. Like to answer that question, actually, this has both like the good side and the bad side as well. Like good side means, for example, as I mentioned in my talk, that India is the one of the biggest producer of the vaccine worldwide, like 60% of the vaccine in the world. So in India, we have really very nice vaccine production facilities, so that if the intellectual property right waived off, then and with the technology transfer, I think we have really good quality companies. They can actually produce that in a good way, like following the particular protocol and everything. But also at the same time, why I say it can be bad, because because it should be very like, the regulations should be very strict. Like not only like any company who are working for vaccines, they should not be given in this right, because first thing, the IP waiving that give the chance that if some protocol is not going well, even a very trace amount of contamination, that can be harmful for the human being. And when we what is that called? Give the vaccines to human in the mass, that might have a huge impact on that. So I would support that IP right to be specifically given to a few countries with a much greater like the evaluation, their vaccine history, their performance and their success rate to give those particular companies, so that they can actually maintain the same kind of quality. And also that is a bad for the company side, like those who have developed that, because vaccine production, it's a huge amount of money again, like huge amount of money. They actually invest a lot. So obviously whatever they have invested for the research purpose, they would definitely try to get that as well, and which is not illogical completely. But thinking about the situation during this pandemic, that's why the debate is ongoing, and I'm hopeful that something will come out, possibly with some kind of restriction. The wave can be, this IP right can be waived off. But and if I think the most benefited will be the India.
Definitely. So totally what you said, I totally agree with it. Thank you so much, sir, for answering it so precisely. I'm definitely sure the people who have this confusion about this topic, all the confusions are totally clear. So I'll ask one last question to you, sir. So as you said that vaccination is not a cure, it is actually prevention. It is a preventive nature. So, sir, it is not 100% effective to all the variants, and of course, with the Delta variant coming on, it has been, which still is not very effective. So at times, citizens say that they do not want to get vaccinated. Because if we are not getting the safety from the future variants, then why should we, am I audible, sir?
Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, because sometimes your voice was breaking actually. Yeah.
So sorry, sir.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
So, sir, that's what I was asking. So, do you think how do we address this question to our to our citizens, to our neighbors, and how do we tell them that you need to get vaccinated? Because they do have a point when they say that it is not effective. So, how do we address that to our?
Okay, that is actually, I don't think I can answer that question, but that is really a very relevant and very important question based on the situations that are happening. But this is not happening not only in India, like this is a problem in the globe actually. Several other, this first world country, they also have the same issues. But the only thing is that what I think, like people need to have a much clearer communication and the promotions from the government, like the organizations, like as I heard this NSS, they are really doing a very excellent job. Like this kind of small organization, if they take part, if they actually goes to the people that, okay, look, this is not something to fear of. This is good for you. Actually, something why happen, like people somehow they are not really confident enough. Like people listen to the news. Like the biggest problem is that people listen to news, but they do not really care about the science that much, because science is always not like that representable, like a breaking news, blockbusters, like the science doesn't go like that. So I think this will be the responsibility for individual citizens, those who are educated, from small organizations, along with the government, to go to the people, to talk to them. This is good, this is not the harmful, because you will be getting benefited, your family will be getting benefited. So in that perspective, I think that could be a very effective way to actually help them understand. Otherwise, like we'll be having some problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manasa, for answering all the questions so wholeheartedly, even though we are getting started. And now I would like to call upon Manasa to give the vote of thanks. But before that, I would like to inform all the volunteers that this platform has been shared in the chat box. And after that, we'll also share it in our WhatsApp group. You all can obtain your from there on. And thank you to Pankaj and Samantha for this introduction. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor and Dennis. Now we come to the end of this webinar. So now, honorable chief guest and guest of honor, respected director, sir, speakers of today's webinar, and my dear participants, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of Guwahati University Campus NSS Unit. First of all, I want to express my gratitude to today's inaugurator, Anurag Rudra sir, IS Assistant Deputy Commissioner, Kamrup, Assam, who has spared his valuable time for us and inaugurate the webinar. We are also thankful to sir for his extremely relevant address on the current pandemic situation and for his best wishes to all the NSS volunteers. I extend my sincere thanks to our guest of honor, Professor Tulsi Besbarua sir, Dean Faculty of Technology and Head Department of Electronics and Communication Technology, Guwahati University, for enlightening us with his views on COVID-19. Thank you, sir. I express my sincere thanks to today's speaker, Dr. Simanto Das, for expressing his views on control and prevention of COVID-19. He gives a detailed idea about the virus and different measures for the prevention of these viral infections. I also wish to express my gratitude to our today's keynote speaker, Dr. Dipankar Manna, for expressing his views on topic COVID-19 vaccine, a modern medical miracle. Dr. Manna gives a complete view on various vaccines that are used in Indian vaccination drive. We are really thankful for him for his very informative presentation. Thank you for enlightening us. I also give my sincere thanks to today's special invitee, Mr. Bidut Thakuria and Jan Kostovic, for giving a view of COVID situation of their respective countries. Thank you. I further extend my heartiest thanks to Dr. Ranjan Kumar Kakoti sir, NSS Coordinator, Guwahati University, for his constant support and motivation. Without his support, this webinar would not have been possible. Thank you, sir. My deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all the participants, NSS program officers, NSS volunteers, and my dear students who attend this webinar with great enthusiasm and made it a successful event. Once again, I thank you all for being with us in this afternoon. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you all for participations. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All the participants are requested to go the chat box for getting that feedback form. You have to fill that form to get your e-certificates. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Simanto Das.
Thank you.
Yes. Dipankar Manna, Bidut Thakuria, John Kostov. Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. See you again.